I'm Dixie Gillaspie. I've been coaching business founders and leaders on how to use principles of conscious creation to turn their visions and impossible dreams into their lived reality, actually for about 30 years. Today we have Leeza Steindorf back with us. So glad to have her back. She's my co-host and our topic leader today. She's the founder of Core Female Leadership Corporate Program and International Transformation and Leadership Coach. She has worked with, I'm so jealous of this, I have to just admit it, individuals from over 50 nationalities and nearly 40 countries around the globe. So she's going to take the topic today. This is, of course, on behalf of Leadership Global. And I think most of you are members, but if you aren't, this is where you'll get into getting support and influence from influential and highly connected business leaders that can help you develop the strategies to pursue your purpose, dramatically increase your success. And if you want to learn more about that, just reach out. Actually, Linda is usually with us. She's on vacation today, but you can always reach Linda Fisk and ask any questions that you have about Leadership Global, if that is something that's new to you. Here in this roundtable, we do monthly immersive sessions that include teaching, coaching, group discussions, and it's really about deepening and expanding your leadership presence and abilities. So it's designed to be curious, respectful, a welcoming space for all of you who are looking for new avenues to grow, take stock, get unstuck, practice your skills, lead with intention, whatever about that appealed to you. Today, we're going to do a little like right on the end of last month's session where we talked about, some of you were here, we talked about what I call the IPO loop, that we get input, that we can then design our process to create different output. And Leeza's going to take us through some conscious communication principles today, which of course is the output part of that when we've processed the way that we communicate, and not just verbally, of course, is all about communication. So that's our topic for today. You'll want to, I think you're going to want to take notes. I'm all prepared to take notes. I've got another screen over here to take notes on. But before we jump into that, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page with both the Leadership Global Credo and the intention that Leeza and I have set for this space. So the Leadership Global Credo is really understanding that we're here to cultivate authentic relationships with the women around you so that together we rise. We're always fortunate to have some guys joining us, so it's not just the women around you. Please include the men in that. Act with courage to pursue your purpose. Dedicate yourself fully to the path that you choose and the outcomes you desire. Be curious and open your mind to be a lifetime learner. Celebrate each other to build meaningful memories and share the love. So to get started, while I'm kind of sharing our premise and intention, what Leeza and I love to do to get started is for each of you just to check in with yourself. Where are you coming from today? Where are you at, right? Where are you coming from today? And maybe just a couple of words that you would use to describe where you're coming from. So if you just want to share that in chat and start getting centered in that, and I will take you through. Oh, that's right. It's 6 a.m. where you are, Jane. Jane is just like, I will get up early for you all. I love that. I love that. Curiosity, new learning, growth mindset. Beautiful. Just keep sharing those. And I just want to share with you, when Leeza and I decided that this is really something that we wanted to do together, we kind of set our premise and intention. And actually, Leeza, if you want to take that, I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room. So I will turn it over to Leeza there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know people say this a lot when they co-host with somebody, but I really adore working with Dixie. It's so often when we're having conversations that one person says something, it's like, I was just about to say that. So I think that kind of collaborative spirit and energy really comes across here. At least I hope it does. And I'm glad to be here with you all. I do invite you all, before I go through our intention, to go off mic and on camera if you feel comfortable with that. I really would like this to be a conversation. Both of us would. So our intention for this group is to facilitate clarity on conscious leadership, to gain insight into how we can live and lead consciously, and to support real integration of consciousness into our lives and our leadership. So that means leaning into meaning and intentionality, eliminating obstacles and limitations, accessing personal power and internal authority, developing authentic relationships and heart-based connections. So we have a lot of practice that we're going to be going into, of awareness of the space between, practice noticing what our conscious choices are, listening before responding. On that point, I also want to say, if you would like to use your hand function of raising hands, that helps us to see who wants to talk and to make sure everybody's voices get heard. Respect time sharing, respect opinions, aligned and differing ones. Own your own experience. Speak to behavior and not the person if there's an issue going on, and also to trust the group in the process in transparency, kindness, and appreciation. So we hold ourselves to those commitments, and we are holding the space also for you all to contribute in that way as well. I just want to pop over again to some of the sharings of where you all are. Openness, grateful, coming in excited and delightful or delighted, a grateful heart. Driving now will listen in. Okay, thank you, Larry. Good. Be safe on the road. All right. Well, so communication. This is a hobby horse of mine. I'm going to share a little bit of why that is. And in talking to Dixie on the segue from your conversation last time, I wanted to go a little bit deeper into connected communication. And as I was putting that together, gleaning from, I just finished another 8-week training on communication, gleaning from bits and pieces of that, I put something together a little bit different. And I'll probably go to the bones of the actual communication in another session. Today, I've pulled something together that is really, I'm going to say, the backdrop of that communication and connection. And I think, Dixie, this will be a good continuation of where you all were. At least I'm hoping so. So having said that, I'm going to go into the presentation mode, share screen. There we go. And as we go through this, if there are questions, please, as I said, raise your hand or go ahead and jump in. Dixie's going to be watching things so that I can pay attention to being with you all. Okay, so conscious leadership, we're talking about connection, and that has a whole lot of different aspects to it. The strongest pull of life is interconnectedness. We're pulled from and we're pulled toward. All right, so this sculpture is actually from a Burning Man, and it has a specific meaning for me that I want to share with you all of why I even work in the area of connection and relational leadership. So I interchange the words relational leadership, conscious leadership. There's not a rigidity there, there's a flow, and they all are pointing to and expressing the same thing. So my experience of communication is that I had absolutely poor communication. I thought communication was being loud and angry. Like that was how we got our point across, right? I'm not going to point fingers at Italian families. That was part of my background. But it really was a dysfunctional situation that I grew up in. And I remember specifically, so my father came back from Vietnam. I may have shared that with you here before. I grew up in violence. But I remember a specific situation when I was 12 years old. I was like, I can almost remember the day. I know it was springtime. And my parents were arguing. I came upstairs, and it wasn't anything unusual. I heard them arguing. These are not my parents. But it was this kind of a situation, defensiveness and accusations flying back and forth. And I didn't realize at the time that I don't want to use the word empathic, but I could sense things, right? I feel energies. And so as I'm listening to them argue, it's kind of that experience of where you have two or three computers tabs up, and one of them's playing like music or a television show, and you have a completely different video going and they don't match. Have you ever had that happen? You're looking at one, something different's going on. That was my experience here, is I was listening to them arguing, I was hearing their words, I was watching their mimicking, but energetically, there was something completely different going on. And my thought was, if they just speak to that other dynamic, if they speak to what's really going on behind them, behind these words, behind the accusations, that somehow would at least get them further. If they could be authentic and share what's there. I'm scared, I'm hurt, I'm sad. And that didn't happen. But at that age, I thought, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to do this. So that's really why I do the work today, and why communication and connection is so important to me. Dixie, I want to mention there's someone in the waiting room. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? There you go. Thank you. I couldn't click on it. All right. So relational leadership. There are a couple aspects that I'm going to go through with y'all. And being a teacher, there are going to be some definitions in here. So we're going to go through them. We're not going to stop on all of them for a longer period of time, but I do want to give you the opportunity to interact. So I am asking you to jump in either in the chat box or just, as I said, off mic, or raise your hand so we can hear what's in the room. I really want this to be practical for you so that you come away with even more forward momentum in your conscious leadership. All right, so these are the points. We're going to talk about presence, peripheral awareness, emerging, authenticity, connection, and delightful curiosity. Okay, so as I said, the backdrop of really connected communication. All right, so first looking at presence. And the reason that I want to look at definitions of all of these is because we're all using different meanings from our history and so forth. So if you could just, in the chat box, what do you understand under the word presence? Just go ahead and pop that in the chat box. Hoping I can get my chat box up here. Let me see. Here's my chat box. There it is. Being attentive, active listening. Okay, thank you, Rachel. What else? When you presence, what does that mean to you? Be available and open, grounded connection, nice. Okay, I'm going to see. Oh, I can keep the chat box. Wonderful. Okay. So the impression and impact of my being me. Very nice. Dixie, I'm guessing that's you. Your name is not showing up there. All right. So this is what Webster has to say about it. All right. That presence is the part of space within one's immediate surroundings, words missing, the bearing, carriage, or air of a person, which doesn't help us very much, right? So I found it interesting going through some of these definitions of, we use these words all the time, and even the dictionary doesn't really do a satisfactory job in defining these things. So I'd like to give us the opportunity of defining them for ourselves. And one question that comes up for me in presence is, when are you most present? So for the definition that you have for yourself, when are you most present? So let's start just with the is there anything else that wants to be shared in your definitions? So we have a couple here. Is there anything else that wants to be shared in definitions before I ask you to answer this question? Okay. All right. So go ahead. You can pop off mic, raise your hand, put it in the chat box. When are you most present? Now, we're not talking only about leadership now. We're going to get there. I want you to first just understand how you operate. When are you most present? Or with whom? When, with whom, where? Perhaps it's a location. With pets and kids when they ask for stillness time. Ooh, very nice. For me, it's when I'm with trees. It's like every sense that I have is lit up and both still and awake at the same time. I'm completely present. What else? When are you most present? There's no right or wrong answers here, folks. Oh, Majesty of the Redwoods. It's very present when hiking there. Absolutely. What about right now? Are you present? What are you present to right now? Right? So I'm asking this question. What are you present to? Deborah says, present in nature, under water of a lake or ocean, being with my grandkids. Beautiful. Jane, on my own, surrounded by nature, particularly flowers. Okay. So I can sense also in those sharings that presence as you're writing it, like you're feeling into that experience of being present. Okay. When are you not present? Elena, when playing with dogs or watching nature. Beautiful. I'm listening here and now, yet distraction with what's going on around me. Okay, very good. Not present when I feel hurried. Isn't that interesting? Well said. Not present when you feel hurried. Okay. So curious if you are then present to your experience of being hurried, right? So we're always present to something. When do we have the most heightened presence and when are we not? So that's a really good insight, Rachel. What else? When are you not present? I can say for me very easily, it's when I have to deal with IT. Absolutely. Jane, in a really big crowd, or a lot of harsh personalities. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm still present, but it takes a lot more energy. Okay, a lot going on there. So to bring your presence there, you need more energy to do it. Helena, distracted with worries. All right. I'm hoping also in this conversation and the space of the questions, the tempo of our interaction also gives you the opportunity here now to be present, right? As a recovering intellect, I am finding that tuning into presence is literally the most powerful tool I have to lead people, to be with people in a way that accesses my highest and best and allows me to feel and speak to, connect with their highest and best, and then invite them along into what we are co-collaborating, which is my definition of leadership, by the way. Deborah asks, are you ever not present? It's distractions that move presence to another aspect or thing. Great question. Absolutely. We're always present to something, right? So then we get into that conscious aspect of it, the intentionality. What are we choosing to place our awareness on? And we're going to get to awareness here in a minute also. I've also come to the place that presence is a state of being. Indeed. Indeed. Yes, it is. All right. Okay. Let's look at a peripheral awareness. Peripheral awareness. Okay. So we've just been speaking about presence, where we are placing or choosing to hold our focus or to bring our beingness, right? And then we have peripheral awareness. So without me going into that, what does that mean to you? And again, you can go off mic, chat if you want to. I always invite conversation, verbal, however you want to do it. What does peripheral awareness mean to you without having any explanation? Peripheral awareness.
That's what is not completely in focus. It's like around the edges.
Okay, so it's there, but not in focus. Okay.
And it's not what I am focusing on either. It may be in focus, but I am not focusing on it either.
Okay. That's a good distinction. So it may even be in focus, but that's not what you're putting your awareness on, your focus on. Nice. Thank you, Helena. Rachel says peripheral, like what is around us when driving. It's there, but not calling immediate attention. Okay. Take a moment just here where we are and notice what you're looking at. Just use your visual, right? So notice what you're looking at. Maybe it's one person on the screen, or maybe it's a teardrop, a raindrop on here. And just keep your awareness on that, and then soften your peripheral vision. So without moving away from that, just take in what is to the sides and notice how far to the sides of your vision, whether it's above, below, just outside of that frame of focus, can you notice things? And just take a moment and see what all is in your peripheral vision. Now we're just talking about vision. What's in your peripheral vision now as you're looking at the screen? And perhaps you can recognize that's always there.
It's there. It just is not in focus and as sharp, so I could not define it as easily. It's
Absolutely.
kind of like blurry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is there. But notice now, just everyone, just notice when you go to the edges, when you don't have to move your eyes there, notice how you can bring that in. You can be soft with your focus so that it's present. And then also now bring your focus back on just that thing, and almost that you squeeze that periphery out. Can you do that? Do you see what I mean with that? Deborah says presence versus present. Nice. Rachel, in a way, it's all the other senses doing their jobs while I look forward. Hearing the wind, shake curtains, neighbors in yards, smell from rain. Exactly. So what happens a lot, can you explain more, squeeze its way out? So let's just do the same thing again. So if you take your awareness and you just bring, and you just look at the dot, look on this center flower, just the water drop in the middle, right? And it has at the bottom of it, it has that smaller water drop. You see it that has the dark top of it, the little round ball at the bottom of that. It's got a little dark top on it. And notice when you're looking at that the rest of your periphery has kind of been squeezed out, or it's become less present, okay? Because you're looking at that dark top. Now just keep your eye on that and soften the rest of your awareness so that your peripheral awareness is there, although you've not lost the top edge, dark part of that small dot. You see what I mean? So that kind of awareness, and how does this come in? You're welcome, Rachel. How does this come in when we are working with people, with groups, with somebody who's looking at us a certain way? We're giving a presentation and someone's doing something on the side, or they're blinking their eyes, or they're leaning backward, and we're taking all of that in. That's all part of our awareness, our peripheral awareness, while we're being present. So the dictionary definition of those two words are: peripheral is of, relating to, involving, or forming a periphery or surface part. And awareness is the knowledge and understanding that something is happening or exists. The knowledge or understanding that something is happening or exists. Okay. Now, although these are perhaps metaphysical or more non-tangibles, I'm asking you to bring it into tangible, practical aspects. So with your peripheral awareness, that's what we just did now, is what's in your peripheral awareness right now. And if you extend that away from vision, extend it to the rest of your senses. What are you hearing right now? Rachel already spoke to that. What do you feel skin on skin? Maybe you have your hands together. What do you feel on pressure of your body? Maybe you're sitting on a chair, or you have something on your lap, or your feet are on the ground. Right? What is there a breeze? What's the temperature? What are you noticing? Maybe the hair as it moves on your head. So all of those things, they're always there. And when you can be aware that they're there, be aware of your awareness, it heightens your ability to communicate and to connect not only with people, but with your entire surroundings. Any questions on that? All right, I'm going to move on then. Emerging. I've had a lot of conversations in groups recently where people were seeking to create projects, create initiatives, environmental initiatives, regenerative agriculture, regenerative economics, leadership teams, where they are calling together energies to create something. And what has become very clear for me is there's different genesis of that experience. We can create it from ourselves, from our thought and forward movement, which seems to be the way in, I'm going to say, the colonized Western world today. And then there's abilities to recognize what is either emerging or asking to be emerged. What time is ripe? If you look at your organization, you look at the groups that you're in, and you start reading them, you will see, is this asking to be done right now? You may have another project on your agenda that's in the forefront, and something is asking to have priority. And do we listen to that? So that's emerging, or emergence, if you will. So Webster defines it as newly formed or prominent. Not a great definition. The way that I define it is something that is asking to be birthed. Something that is asking to be birthed. And so I'm going to ask you right now, again, either in chat or please do unmute, what is calling to emerge in your world right now? So on a larger scale, not right here sitting with one another. In your personal life, in your business, what is asking for you to move on? Not that you are deciding to do, but what is pulling at you, tugging at you, nudging at you? What is asking to emerge? Creating a 6-week program.
Sorry.
Nice, Deborah, thank you.
What I found totally fascinating is that I was writing a little bit, and life in English is, life living. But if you, in Dutch, which is my native tongue, I had spelled life differently, Lief, which means love in Dutch. So I think my subconscious gave me a clue here.
So that's what's emerging for you, Helena, is love?
That is what I take it to mean, that I'm getting this message that is what is calling to emerge.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let me see. A children's book to be published and sold out into the world. Lovely. Larry says, very interesting, but need to run. Thanks for a great program. You are welcome, Larry. Nice to have you. My truth, my authenticity, my story. Vanessa, thank you for that. Okay. So let's look now at authenticity. I work with a lot of leaders. I work with CEO, the whole C-suite. This seems to be the biggest stumbling block if I can't say for almost every leader that I work with. And the genesis of it is usually that they don't feel good enough. I'm generalizing, right? I'm just condensing it all down. Whether it's they don't have the background, they didn't earn it, their team is better than they are, they don't have enough experience, they're getting paid too much. Things that you would think people in these positions would never have difficulty with, right? So the issue with these types of aspects of leadership, which most people, they want nuts and bolts, like tell me how to do 1, 2, 3. And when I do, for example, impactful communication, the 4 steps, which is related to nonviolent communication, like 1, 2, 3, 4, awesome, got it, right? Or connected communication, which are the nuts and bolts of this, of clarity, curiosity, connection, and the steps that we do with that. People are like, oh, great, I got it. But here's the problem with having only the tools. They end up being empty to a certain extent because you're not really living them. And so your leadership ends up being that way too. Some of the greatest companies, I'm sure you all are familiar with the book and the study, Good to Great, right? Harvard Business School put that study together. The study itself was phenomenal because they decided to look at what makes companies that are good companies become great companies. What is it? And they had no parameters. They didn't go in with saying, well, we're going to look at this and this. They had nothing. They just did a blanket study and gathered just mega data. And from all of that, they put it together. And they came from all of that information down to some very specific characteristics of what made a good company a great company. And I won't go into the specifics of it. We can do that another time. But one of them was the leadership. And that came out at a time right after Lee Iacocca, whom some of you may not know, but he was a very charismatic leader of Chrysler. And what they found in the companies that went from good to great was that the leaders were humble, mostly soft-spoken, didn't have fancy cars, didn't live in huge homes. You know, they may have earned a lot of money, but they were totally authentic in who they are, and they were completely connected to the people they worked with. They were the icons of relational leadership, of conscious leadership, right? And so these conversations that we're having today, that I'm offering to you all today, is the foundation of that kind of leadership, of that kind of economic, and I'm going to say societal growth and thriving. So authenticity, getting off subject here. The definition of authenticity, this is my definition. Before I pop it out there, what would you all say? Authenticity, what does it mean to you?
Being true to who you are.
Okay. What else? Total alignment. Aware of our personal truth. Nice. Okay, well, you're right on track here, folks. This is my definition. Learned it long ago, being congruent inside and out. Yeah? So it doesn't mean that I'm really frustrated about something and I slap a smile on my face. Or maybe I'm excited about something, but I'm in a business organization, so I'm gonna put on my stern business face, right? It's having a congruency. And that also means, which is why non-judgment is such a large part of leading in a way that is impactful, of being able to say things to people without judgment that needs to be said, and not taking the back door because it seems easier. Okay? So, where do you most often inauthentic and with whom? We're going to come back to that question. I'm going to give that to you all in a breakout session. All right. Oh, that one came twice. I think I'm going the wrong way. It's not letting me go move forward. There we go. Okay, connection. All right. Let me check my time here. All right, so we're pretty much on time. Okay, so connection. as the first quote said, the strongest pull in life is toward interconnectedness, right? We're here, we have this Zoom opportunity to connect. It is a different form of connection, but it is connection. Whether we're walking a dog, smelling the flowers, talking to a friend, leading a group, working on a project, even reading a book, we are in connection of some sort, okay? And all of these are not just words and concepts to be thrown out there. They're opportunities for us to raise our awareness and to live and work and lead consciously. Now it's doing it again. That's so interesting. Okay, well, we're going to do it this way then. All right. So connection, casual or a causal or logical relation or sequence, contextual relation or association. Does that help you know what connection means? Does that define it for you? And if it doesn't, then perhaps you can write in the chat box or unmute. What does connection mean to you, right? We talk about it all the time, but what exactly does it mean for you and to you? Connection.
It misses the human aspect here. It's more defined in like technology or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. It leaves out the heart. Exactly. What Helen and you both just said that. So what does connection mean to you? How would you define it for yourselves? If it's a foundation, you all arrived there or worked with it in your last conversation, right? What's present? Yes, agreed. It's very robotic. So let's talk about connection.
I would say I like the soulful connection. That's real.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That to me is real connection.
So when you say soulful connection, how does that feel or look, smell? What's the flavor of that? How can you describe that?
First thing that came to my mind was like a warm piece of apple pie.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
I got to have some ice cream on that too. But for candy, I don't know, sweet, just like I don't know.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Dixie, I can't connect to something unless I'm present to it. All right.
Connection is also a relationship. It's a relationship. It's related to each other.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. For me, it's a bond. It's a flow. I'm looking at you. I'm listening to you. I'm watching your facial expressions. I'm hearing your words. I'm offering something back in return. And that there's not only a flow between us, but there's something that we have together. That's a connection. Anything else?
Yeah, Leeza, for me, I think it's meeting my yearning. It's my yearning to be known, to be seen, to matter, to know I'm making a contribution. In an energy perspective is, can I feel you feeling me?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And
nice.
So, yeah, there's a synergy and an energy. For me, the energy is really the critical piece, but I think all human beings want to be seen and known for who they are.
Absolutely.
Not their false self.
Absolutely, Dan. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Now that should be in the dictionary.
I'll write to Webster and let him know.
Please do. Please do. Thank you. Deborah says, relationship between two things, people in authentic present manner, to be seen, witnessed, and heard. Again, right? To be seen for who we are. Beautifully said. All right. What do you feel when you are connected? And I'm also going to offer that for our breakout. One more thing before we go into that is delightful curiosity. So I may have shared this with y'all before. If not, I can put it in the chat box again, is the invitation to do the Genius of Non-Judgment. It's a 40-minute training. There's no charge for it. It is very powerful. And so we often navigate the world through our judgments. This is good for me. This is bad for me. This is good for me. This is bad for me. And we categorize things, and we don't do it that explicitly, right? It's often more, well, that's interesting. Or, oh, wow, that's really right. So we lean in or we lean away from, and that's usually how we navigate. And it works. However, it leaves a lot of space for growth that could take place, which doesn't, because we're busy judging. So when we eliminate judgment, or at least notice it and don't lean into it, delightful curiosity is what can be present for us. So it's really wanting to understand, being curious, but with a delight about it, not with a sternness or harshness, like, wow, I wonder why that happened, or I wonder who that is, or I wonder why that company does this, or I wonder why that leader chose that way of doing this or not. Like I found out recently that when Patagonia, they gave their company to the earth. It's like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. They gave the company to the earth. So much curiosity about that. It means the earth is an entity that now deserves to own something as though it doesn't own itself, right? So all these sparkles start going off. And that's the kind of curiosity we can have when we drop judgment, when we step into that place of connection and with awareness and peripheral awareness and presence. Yeah. So from the dictionary, delight is a high degree of gratification or pleasure, joy, extreme satisfaction even. And curiosity is the desire to know, inquisitive interest in others' concerns, or I would say the desire to understand. Right? So that's what can come when we have presence, when we are paying attention to what is emerging, when our peripheral awareness is taking in gently what is around us, when we're making our choices about being authentic to others, when we're choosing to connect, and then we can have this delightful curiosity. And from that place, again and again, what I find is that that's when people are saying, yeah, whatever you want to do, I'll do it with you. It's the best place in the world to lead people, right? If you want to call it leadership. Okay. What is your most recent experience of delightful curiosity? So I'm going to ask you all to just, even if it's just for yourself, in the chat box or out loud, just one sentence, whatever it is. And I will start with watching my dog experience snow for the first time. How he tried to dig into it. Like I was just so fascinated by how he approached that. So what else? Delightful curiosity, one sentence. Misty says, someone today just mentioned the word wondrous. Oh, lovely word. I love the thought of delightful, wondrous. Oh, I do too. Thank you. Beautiful. What else? Most recent experience of delightful curiosity. And if you haven't had one recently, folks, this is your homework. That you get to find opportunities to be delightfully curious until we meet again.